Hi everyone, and welcome to our education this month where we are focusing on menopause. And being a Menopause Awareness Month, I had a little bit of a think about how can I potentially help my girls that are perimenopause and menopause in a more practical way rather than just bombarding you with the education and the studies and the stats every week. So I decided to share with you the way I work my day, my week, in regard to food this time, and to give you some different brands that I use, how I structure my week, and why I do it. So before I start with that, I want us to be aware that with menopause, we are basically looking at three different buckets that can create problems for us. And the first bucket, as we know, is that our hormones change. We all know that. Hormones are transporters that go to different receptor sites within our body and has our body acting optimally. So as our hormones change and lessen, we need to be able to harness those hormones in a way that how can we best serve our body with this changing of our hormones. So we want to be able to, number one, harness our hormones. Because our hormones are lowering, our sex hormones and our other hormones are changing because of that, such as our insulin hormone, for instance, that works with our blood sugar levels, this can create inflammation in our body. And so we can see inflammation as things like autoimmune disease, arthritis. We can see it as blood sugar intolerance, so our body's not reacting as well to blood sugar. We might see it as obesity, weight gain. Also, we can see it as chronic conditions such as heart disease, diabetes, blood pressure, cholesterol, and even cognitive decline in regard to our brain health. Bone density, the strength of our bones, and even those little muscles start to weaken along with our bigger muscles, and that can put us at risk of things like falls, breaks, fractures, and all that stuff that happens as we age. So we want to be able to harness inflammation, and so we've understood hormones. We need to be able to try and bring them more into balance if we can. Inflammation, we want to try and lower it. And last but not least is our metabolism. So metabolism comes as lean muscle mass declines, and the consequence of a slowing metabolism is the increase of body fat, and often the dangerous fat, our visceral fat, that sits in and around our internal organs and puts us at very high risk of disease, including cancer. So with those three buckets in mind, when I create eating plans for you girls, I look at these buckets and it's like, how can I give them maximum results, minimum time, minimum effort? And there's a few different areas that you truly need to focus on as an older woman, and that's what I want to go through today. So the very first thing in regard to food that I will highly recommend will give you the best bang for your buck. It will help you in regard to your lean muscle mass. It will help you in lowering inflammation in your body, and it will help you with your hormones, and that is protein. So protein is the thing I look at on a daily basis, and if you need to understand how much protein you should be having individually, you look at how much you weigh. So say I weigh 60 kilos, I want 2 grams of protein per kilo. So if I weighed 60 grams, I should be personally aiming for 120 grams of protein a day. And what that does for me is it helps me to maintain the current muscle mass that I have. And it also helps me to regain or improve on the muscle mass that I currently have. So studies are showing that once we turn 60, this is where the metabolism really starts to slow down. And it's also showing that around age 60, we have lost in the last decade up to about 30% of our strength. That's a lot. So we want to be able to eat the nutrients that supports us in our exercise so that not only can we maintain our strength, and think about that, girls, that's about fall prevention, it's about being able to live independently, not having to go into a nursing home. It's important stuff. It stops sarcopenia, it helps with bone density, it's a myriad of benefits as aging women. So step 1 is protein, how much you're getting, and don't be tricked that when you think I'm having 100 grams of chicken breast, I'm getting 100 grams of protein. If you Google 100 grams of chicken breast, it actually equates to about 30 grams of protein. So as a 60 kilo woman needing 120 grams, that's only 30 grams. Now, the latest research is showing to try and get what they call a bolus, like a good amount of protein in that very first meal of the day. And they suggest anything from 40 to 50 grams of protein in that very first meal of the day. Now, I find with a lot of women our age, we are very aware of healthy food and unhealthy food, but we're also very inclined to want to eat carbohydrate and fat. So I think I gave the example in one of our last educations about eating like a piece of multigrain sliced bread or a piece of sourdough or a piece of raisin toast, all those different breads that we can often have for breakfast. And then we'll buff it up with like lots of avocado, and we think we're having a healthy breakfast. And in fact, we're not. We're combining carbs and fat, which is a bomb to maintain, to gain weight. And what we should be doing is flipping it out, going, where's my protein? Have I got 30 to 40 grams in my breakfast? And happy days. So I want to just show you some different forms of protein that I eat. So girls, different ways that you can get your protein. Obviously, one way is through powder, especially for my girls that don't have a lot of time on their hands. I use the grass-fed whey isolate protein powder, and I make sure that mine doesn't have any nasty. So for instance, this one has got no gluten, no nuts, non-GMO, no palm oil, no colors, no sugars, no artificial sweeteners. And so the likelihood of it affecting my tummy is a lot less than if I start buying packaged food that's got coloring and preservatives and additives and all these other things. Well, then I'm likely to maybe get an upset digestive system. Yeah, and that's not healthy either. That's inflammation. So we want to try and get hold of grass-fed whey isolate protein powder without the nasties. And that will give us the best bang for our buck in regard to pure protein going in and feeding our muscles. Yeah. Protein has a lot of other benefits in the body. It really does work with all parts of our body. It's an essential nutrient, so you can't live without it. And honest to goodness, girls, if there's just one big boulder, I would say to you nutritionally, that will change the game of weight loss, body shape, strength, metabolism. It's protein, and I really highly recommend that you take it seriously in how you're putting together your daily eating plan. Another one I just wanted to share with you in regard to protein is, you girls have probably seen, I have YoPro yogurt. You've got to be super careful with yogurt. It can often have 5-6 teaspoons of sugar per serving. And so girls, when I look over my yogurt, this one has 1 teaspoon of sugar per serve. And that's what I want you to think about, is getting at least 1 or less teaspoons of sugar. If there's more, ditch it. You can get a better brand. If you don't like YoPro, you can also get Chobani, and Chobani does a beautiful Greek yogurt, and you'll find they're low in sugar. So when you look at your yogurt, also look at your protein. So for instance, girls, this protein is 15.2 grams of protein per serve and only 5 grams of sugar. Most of them you'll see per serve, they're like 5 grams, 7 grams, 8 grams, 25 grams of sugar. And that's now become a dessert that would be on a cheat day and is ultimately going to assist you with increasing your belly fat, not getting rid of it. So we want to think about high protein, low sugar, and that is another perfect source of protein. The other ways I get protein is I use egg whites, and a lot of girls say to me, why egg whites and not use the yolk? So yolk has protein in it, girls, but it also has fat. And if you've listened to me in the past, I'm quite mindful of eating too much animal fat. So we know animal fat is saturated fat. And, you know, some people say to you, it doesn't matter. But when you look at the Heart Foundation or the studies around the heart, they highly recommend that you stay away from saturated fat. And so when you start eating eggs every day, this fat in it, which is essential, our body needs fat, you're choosing a saturated fat as your go-to, whereas you could be using it, you could be choosing your fat source of the day as plant-based fat, which is like your avocado, your nuts, your seeds, your olive oil. Now they have better bang for their buck in regard to your body health than saturated fat that will be found in meat, that will be found in dairy products, that will be found in eggs. So that's why I use egg whites. They have good sources of protein, but they don't have the fat, the yolk. So we actually give the yolk to Pluto every day. It's supposed to be good for his skin. I'm not so sure about the fat in it, but anyway, that's what we do. And you can buy egg white cartons. And so it's just egg whites, and you can buy it in the supermarket. So if you are concerned about wasting egg yolks and you don't know what to do with them, it might be a better option to buy egg white in a carton and just using it that way. The other way that I get mine is obviously through my meat. So we will have like salmon a couple of times a week. I will have tuna, but girls, I'm a bit off it because being in the tin and mercury and all that sort of stuff. We will have mackerel, but ours tends to be fresh when our friends come up from diving. We'll also have chicken breast, turkey breast, and then my meat I will buy like eye fillet steak, and it is expensive. I think for Rob and I, it is like $16, so it works out $8 each. But I look at it that it's my health, it's going to save me doctor's bills, medications, disease, heart attacks. So I have it once a week to support my iron levels and to also as another form of protein. So just to let you know that. So girls, things like cheese, I use hard cheese rather than soft cheese. So when you go camembert, brie, all that sort of stuff, you're actually setting yourself up for high fat. When you go hard cheese, vintage cheese, that harder cheese is less fat. So just be mindful of that. I also have things like cottage cheese and ricotta cheese and all that good stuff. So it's all good sources of protein. So now that I've got protein out of the way, the next thing I do is I think about my fiber. That's my number 2 go-to. So fiber helps me with my digestion, so helps me keep my digestive health well. It helps me with the good guys in regard to my gut health. So it also helps me go to the toilet, number 2. Fiber has 0 calories, but it can be jam-packed with nutrients. And so nutrients are in the form of vitamins and minerals. So I, honest to goodness, have vegetables 5 times a day, and I have them, lots of them. So at breakfast, for instance, my vegetables I have every day is zucchini, cauliflower and broccoli. And every mid-morning, I have a green juice I make that has spinach in it, it has celery in it, it has lemon and apple cider vinegar, and it has capsicum in it, and it has kiwi fruit. So I'm getting lots and lots and lots of fiber in there. And then lunchtime, I do a massive salad alongside my protein and my wrap. So I'm getting more vegetable, more fiber. In the afternoon, I'll have a green powder. I meant to bring it, but I'll have a green powder in a protein shake, and I'm getting more fiber in there. And dinner, I'll do my big plate of stir-fry veggies, and I'll get more vegetable in there. So I'm really living a life that is full of plant-based vegetables and fats, and I'm adding the protein in there to support my health. And so I really want you to think about that. How are you able to add veggies into all your day, into different meals? You know, it can come in the form of a juice, it can come in the form of fresh raw vegetables, it can come in salads, it can come in stir fries. Just think lots of different ways that you can throw some vegetables in there and really assist you with fiber. It will be good for your skin health, it's good for, like I said, your gut health, and it's good for weight loss because it can literally help you to lose weight because it pulls calories through with it that you may be eating in other forms. It's got all good news, so think a lot of fiber. Next, girls, I think then I go into my fats. And now I just talked about animal fat, plant-based fats. So my fats look like things like avocado, nuts, and olive oil. I guess the only thing I wanted to say here is our thyroid health can change as an aging woman. And we know that by having 1 Brazil nut a day, you should never overeat Brazil nuts because they can be toxic to the body. But if you have just 1 a day, it actually has a property in it that is super healthy for your thyroid health. And so I have it on my breakfast every morning with walnuts, because walnuts are my brain food, and with my blueberries, and also my oats and my chia seeds and all that sort of stuff. So fats, chia seeds are a good fat, coconut oil, olive oil. Just remember, olive oil is great to have on salads. Coconut oil is fantastic to cook in. And that's because when you heat it up, it doesn't become toxic. And so just being aware that maybe that's a great alternative to cook in as well, just to help your health. Then I look at my carbohydrates, girls, and in all honesty, the carbohydrates I eat on a daily basis are rice cakes. I eat the thin rice cakes. I eat pumpkin, sweet potato, peas. I'll have that in this beautiful broccoli salad I make. But mainly I eat fibrous vegetables. My carbs I tend to eat as like my vegetables still. I do have rice cakes and I have my wraps. And so girls, I think I shared with you last time my wraps, but my wraps are really low in carbohydrate. They're quite low in calories and they're quite high in fiber. So 4.4 grams of fiber and really low in sugar and only 3 grams of carbohydrate. So they're even got 5 grams of protein. So they're quite just fantastic if you do want a wrappy type thing, or I use it as a pizza base. You can do anything like that. I then want you to think, so you've now thought, okay, my protein, my fiber, my plant-based fats, my carbohydrates, and then you go into your fluid. And so I guess what I just wanted to share there is people can say to me, water's boring. So think about herbal teas if you're wanting hot, but I have them cold. So I make a big jug of herbal tea and I will keep that in the fridge. And I will drink herbal tea as my workout drink at the gym. I'll drink cold herbal tea during the day. So have a think about that being an alternative as well. And one of my girls yesterday said she now buys the sparkling water. So that's nice as a treat as well, especially during those summer months. From there, girls, I just wanted to talk a little bit about supplements. And I just wanted to say, get yourself a good magnesium, because often with our soils being depleted, we're not holding enough magnesium in our body. And magnesium helps us to relax our muscles. It can help us with our sleep, and it can help us with our overall health. And I buy ethical nutrients these days, and you can often buy a big I buy the powder. You can often buy them half price at one of those chemist warehouses. And my magnesium levels are good in my blood test. So just be aware of making sure you're having magnesium. Make sure that your zinc levels are good. And just, girls, with your blood test, ask if you can get your zinc level checked. It's an immune system booster. So zinc really helps keep a strong immune system. And we know as we're aging, we want as strong as immune system as we can possibly get. And so my tip there is, I keep being told in what I'm reading and also by the naturopath that picolinate is the best type of zinc to take. So zinc picolinate. Always check with your health professional, girls, before undertaking any sort of supplements, because I'm not a herbalist. I'm not qualified in supplements. If you're on medications, you've had breast cancer, some supplements just don't work for you. So I would hate to think I'm leading you down the wrong road there. So always check with a health professional before you do start those. And girls, I just wanted to share with you also, this isn't a supplement, but I use MCT oil, which is a type of coconut oil for my skin health. And the reason I wanted to share that with you is I was listening to a endocrinologist speaking the other day, and he once again specializes in women's hormones. And he was saying that he's really starting to believe that it's the toxins that we're absorbing and eating and breathing these days that is causing so many disruptions in our hormone health. And he spoke about, creams that we're putting on our skin, the foods that we're eating with preservatives and additives and all that sort of stuff. And also about our makeup, the type of sprays that we use, our cleaning products, our the fly spray, all that sort of stuff that we're inhaling. And he truly believes it is a hormone disruptor. And I find that an interesting concept, because he said women's hormones are becoming way more offbeat than they used to be. And obviously stress can be a problem there as well, but we're talking about food today. And so he said, just be mindful that, with your cleaning products, maybe making those more natural type products with the vinegar and the water, bicarb soda, vanilla to clean out the fridge, all that sort of stuff. And to think about your makeup. So I use MCT oil as my moisturizer on my body every day, so I'm not using those products. And as I need new makeup, I'm now going to the health food shop, and I'm buying now makeup that is not got the nasties in there. And so that has been slow for me, because I don't tend to go through a lot of makeup. But as I've needed more makeup, I've flipped it. So you may consider doing the same thing. The other thing I just wanted to give you a hot tip on is your water bottle. Are you drinking out of plastic water bottles? And maybe consider getting like stainless steel or glass as your water bottle. And the other thing is I've started to change all my Tupperware over to glass. So I'm no longer microwaving anything in plastic. I'm no longer storing anything in plastic. And it was just fascinating. He even spoke about toothpaste having fibers of plastic in it, and that we were ingesting that, and it was changing our hormone response. So I just thought it was quite fascinating. So, you know, we don't have to go on this massive tangent, but it may be worth being curious about and thinking about one or two things that you could potentially change. Maybe your water bottle, maybe your coconut oil instead of your normal body moisturizer, or, you know, the glass Tupperware, maybe you'll start storing in that. And it's these little changes. Remember, it's those tiny habit changes that over time create big changes, because you're constantly improving and expanding on how you're helping yourself in regard to your health and your fitness and your wellness. And so this sort of stuff will help us reduce inflammation in our body. It will help our hormones to be more in balance. And so ultimately, this is our key, girls. It's the inflammation, it's the hormones, and it's the metabolism. I think that's all I wanted to really share with you today. The other thing was remembering inflammation is a lot to do with blood sugars. I think I've spoken about that on another video. But just remember, girls, Ceylon cinnamon, 5 grams a day, is known to reduce your blood sugar levels significantly. And a sign that you are maybe having your blood sugar being unstable is if you're holding belly fat. It's a symptom, it's a sign. And so if you've sort of noticed since menopause you're holding belly fat, it may be worth you considering having, and if you're a diabetic, Ceylon cinnamon, 5 grams a day. And also remembering to walk after each meal for 10 minutes will dampen your blood sugar levels. And always eat your protein first on your plate will help keep your blood sugar lower than if you dive straight into the carbohydrates. So if you went out for dinner, don't eat the bread first, eat your protein first, whether that's your entree of prawns, or you wait for your main meal and you eat the meat first, and don't bulk up on those breads and desserts and then have pasta for dinner and you've literally had no protein the whole night, because your blood sugars will skyrocket. You will feel terrible. You'll literally feel hungover the next day, and also put yourself at risk of putting on weight very easily. All right. So guys, I think that's all I wanted to share with you today. So let me know if you think that's been helpful. I wanted to talk about the food side of things. I thought it might be helpful in our menopausal month. And just remember, we've got the recipes there in our different courses. We are planning on introducing more recipes for you. And it's really thinking about your protein first, your fiber second, your plant-based fats third, your carbohydrates last, lots of water, hydration, and with your exercise, your rest, your repair, and your sleep. Happy days, we've nailed it. All right, well, thanks for listening if you're still listening, and I'll see you for our next education next week.